Hey guys, welcome back. Sometimes you got to make something just because you need it, and it's not exactly a fine woodworking project or even close, and that's what I'm doing today. I'm going to build, I am now a cat owner, which I'll explain at the end of this video if that interests you, but I am making today this very cheap, very simple cat scratcher frame out of a 2x4 and some cardboard. Cost about $3, and it's going to keep my cat off my couch. On a scale of difficulty from 1 to 10, this is like maybe a 2. This is a very beginner project. I only say 2 because I did cut some rabbets in this wood as well as some miters for the corners. Not hard stuff. All stuff you can do with the table saw, miter saw. Super simple. Let's see how it's done. Now, I am not embarrassed at all to make things out of dimensional lumber or construction grade lumber. And in this case, I've got a 2x4. As long as you treat this like a valuable piece of wood, it can be one. So what I'm doing here is I'm joining the face and then joining one edge of this 2x4, which is what you would do with a fine piece of lumber as well. Next, I'm going to run the board with the opposite face up through the planer and then flip it and plane the jointed side on the last pass. Now I've already jointed one edge of my 2x4, so I'm going to rip my 2x4 on my table saw to remove that factory edge off the remaining one, and then I'll flip it and clean up the jointed edge as well. Now normally you would want a flat top tooth blade for this, but honestly I was just throwing this together as quickly as I could. I used an alternating tooth pattern on this, which for these circumstances, this $3 cat scratcher, I don't really care. But here I'm making about a 1/4 inch rabbet by running this 2x4 several times and moving closer and closer to the blade each time until I have that rabbet I want. Now I'm just going to rip this rabbeted piece off. It's about 1 1/4 inches wide. Now I think it's pretty obvious I didn't draw up any plans for this. I'm just making this off the cuff. So I'm going to take that strip that I ripped from my 2x4, and I'm going to cut 2 10-inch pieces with miters at each end, and then 2 16-inch pieces with miters at each end. Now I'm just applying some glue at the miters along with a brad nail at each joint, and we'll set that aside and let it dry while we cut the cardboard. I'll just very quickly measure the interior dimensions inside that rabbet, so I know how big to cut my cardboard. Now you could cut this cardboard by hand, but I'm lazy, so I'm cutting it with my laser. So I'm in light burn, and the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to create one box. This box needs to be 8 5/8 by 7/8 of an inch, and then I'm going to need a number of these. So I'm going to use the grid array tool in light burn to lay out 2 columns of 24 rows, to cut these out on my laser. I love this laser. It's a 130 watt 51-inch laser from Thunder Laser, and it's a fantastic machine. Now all I have to do is take each strip, apply a little bit of glue, and lay it down into the scratcher. So I told you I would tell you how I came about owning a cat. I was picking up my son Gunner from the airport in Lubbock, and on the way back to San Angelo, we were about 30 minutes out of town, and we came across a kitten in the middle of the road that had been struck by a car. So we stopped, we picked the kitten up, put it in a small box, and my son held the cat for the 30-minute drive back to San Angelo and the animal hospital. Did not expect the cat to make it. It was in really bad shape. But long story short, so I did what anybody would do. I went on Facebook and I asked where there was a vet that did declaws. It's been a long time since I've owned a cat, and I didn't know that apparently we don't declaw cats anymore. That is news to me. But the people on Facebook were very quick and not so kind to tell me just that. I wish I had their comments to show you, but I guess the administrators of that group have deleted that post because it did inflame quite a many people. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed this super simple video, and we'll see you next time.